John Arcadian says that you are not nearly as good in social situations as you would be if you spent more time playing Dungeons & Dragons. Dungeons & Dragons is a game where players engage in shared storytelling. Players use their creativity to play the role of a character they imagine. They enter into a world created by a person who runs the game called the Game Master. The players describe what they want their character to do in the world, and the Game Master responds by describing the outcome of their actions. Dungeons & Dragons is an inherently social game. It can be described in two parts. 1, social engagement, and 2, game. Social means that everything we do is at the table, which just means when we are together, it's social engagement. Everything we know about development during our teenage years tells us that social learning is key to a healthy life, both physically and mentally. Our adolescent years are when we differentiate ourselves as unique individuals, and we learn lifelong skills of empathy, reading social cues, and weighing risk and reward. Playing a game like Dungeons & Dragons allows us to practice all these skills in a low-risk environment. There is a level of separation between our real self and the character. Maybe I want to see what it's like to be a really influential and experience the emotional reward of convincing others to follow my plan. In Dungeons & Dragons, I can do that without the real-world pressure of failure. Dungeons & Dragons is secondly a game. We know that through research, our brains learn best when we become hyper-focused. This is referred to as a state of flow. The state of flow has some basic factors, including an intense focused concentration in the present moment, a sense of personal control or agency, a subjective alteration of time, which just means time slows down, an experience of the activity as being intrinsically rewarding, and the feeling that there is potential to succeed. When we are in a state of flow, our brains are primed to learn, and games are notorious agents of flow. When we are able to let loose of some of our inhibitions and get into the game, we're priming our brains for the social learning that comes with playing a role-playing game like Dungeons & Dragons. So, what we have with Dungeons & Dragons is a game to get us into a state of flow that is inherently teaching us social skills that can be helpful for anyone at any age. So what areas of our life can a game like Dungeons & Dragons be helpful with? Well, since Dungeons & Dragons is an inherently social game, we expect it to help with our social anxieties, depression, and challenging unsuccessful ways of socializing. Based on the work of psychologist Alfred Adler, we see the self as being a combination of 5 essential aspects: creative, coping, physical, essential, and social. The game of Dungeons & Dragons can help us develop in most of these categories. The creative self is challenged to grow as we are encouraged to improvise, work together to overcome challenges, experience deep emotions through successes and failures. Our coping self is challenged to grow as we learn to have deeper appreciation of our own self-worth, manage stressful social situations, and help us set realistic goals. Our social self grows through play, as we make meaningful and trustworthy friendships, set relational boundaries, and learn to work through conflict. Our essential self is challenged to grow as we consider how our own spiritual and cultural views, including those formed by our racial identity, our religious identity, our gender identity, impact how we see the world and others. Dungeons & Dragons can be a fun, challenging way to see growth in ourselves. I hope this brief introduction to what we do in the group is helpful, and I just want to encourage you to please feel free to contact us for more information or to ask questions.